Yo, what's going on? It's the Heavyist podcast, weekly worship of the altar of radness. One of my favourite bands of all time unleashed an album last week. I'm having the bloody time of my life. I'm going to talk about it with Gary. It's going to be fantastic.
Hell yeah, man. AFI, baby. Four-piece punk band. We'll talk about it. From California, their new record's called Silver Bleeds the Black Sun, and it was released on October the 10th through Run for Cover Records.
Calling me home, holy visions on the sun. Holy visions round by left.
Anybody who's been listening to the podcast for a while obviously will know that Sonny is what he loves to refer to as a card-carrying member of the Despair faction. Oh, yes, he's literally got his card. I really hoped you would have your card.
Also, Gary, right? This I've squeezed into.
Oh my God, look at that. That's absolutely amazing.
This is my OG Despair faction t-shirt that I got after falling deeply, madly in love with the band in 2003. Just after Sing the Sorrow came out. They are one of my favourite bands of all time. I just became obsessed with them after that album. Obviously got online. The online community was great at that time. The Despair faction had a very sort of active message board that I would lurk on constantly.
Message boards, showing your age there, mate.
Yeah. I would download every image I could find of the band. I would download every video I could find of the band. I would watch them religiously. Loads of great performances for back in that day. There's an MTV2 performance where they did like 3 songs once, and it was like a really well performed stage show. If you ever just want to get an idea of how bloody great that band is and how great they can sound with like a, like a proper bit of money behind them, like on a stage like that. That's great. So yeah, here we are. Man. In 2025. I've managed to squeeze into a t-shirt that I bought 22 years ago at this point.
And let's just be clear that the style of the time was to wear a t-shirt that was very small, and the fact that you could still wear it, respect to you, mate.
The thing is, at the time, the bundle that I wanted wasn't available in my size, so you would buy the bundle, and I just had to get a large. Little did I know that that actually was the play, because in later years I would actually come to appreciate it sort of for its vintage value. At the time, I was gutted.
20 years ago sorted you right out there, anyway.
Yeah. At the time, I was fuming because I'd spent all this money, couldn't wait for it to turn off, and couldn't wait to rock around with it, and it was too big. At that point, I was going to shows buying youth larges if I could. Remember those days?
Yeah.
bands
I've
didn't
always
used
been
to
too
do
fat for that, but yeah, I remember the style for sure.
in the true days of the early MySpace scene, everyone wore the tightest clothes possible. And bands would purposefully stock youth large because they knew that there was such an appetite for these very, very tight t-shirts, and the extra smalls didn't really exist. It was youth large.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Children's t-shirts. Really short in the body specifically so you'd show a bit of midriff.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, you've got to make sure your low-life belt buckle was completely on show. That was the vibe.
For sure. But
so here we are.
The band is... Those days are kind of very, very much behind them, aren't they? Those Scene Kid days, the old horror punk kind of thing. I mean, there is moments of it on the record. We'll definitely get into that. But it really feels like the journey that AFI have been on in the last 10 years, which is kind of as I've personally developed a bit of a relationship for them. I was never really there in the early days. The journey that they've gone on to the point where they are now with Silver Bleeds the Black Sun, it feels to me, listening to this album, like this is the ultimate payoff for that whole period of time. It comes from Crash Love onwards, right? It's Crash Love the point where they went, oh, well, here's a bit of 80s for you. Sprinkle a little bit of the 80s into it.
there was bits of it. There was a few tracks on December Underground, but yeah, like they've always been a band that hasn't necessarily stood still too much. There's always been slight changes and bits and bobs here and there, and I think, but thematically, you could say that like it's been rather similar, like sort of had this rather similar darkness to what was like cemented on Sing the Sorrow. Even more in like Burials and the Blood album and Bodies. Crash Love was very much like if December Underground was wintry, and they said this on the Hard Law thing, so December Underground was the winter, and then like Crash Love was the summer, and it made a lot of sense. I'm gonna have to try to not just repeat. I've consumed I've consumed like about 5-6 hours of Davey Havok interviews in the last like 48 hours. So I'm gonna have to use my own brain.
You've been down a real hole, but that's cool. That's cool.
I've been thoroughly enjoying this. So yeah, this is the first full length from them since 2021. Bodies came out. That obviously came out in COVID times, so it didn't necessarily perform as much as well as the band had wanted, but I think it was an incredibly strong album. I think Twisted Tongues is like it's just such a beautiful AFI song, and there was a lot of tracks in that record that really did well. So then we get to Behind the Clock was the first single from this new album, and wow, like as soon as I heard it, I just felt like this is AFI doing like their best version of like How Soon Is Now by the Smiths. Like it felt really like that, but Davey doing his own brilliant low vocals. That was a big stylistic change for him on this record, is that he's singing in this much lower register than he's ever done before, and he sounds phenomenal.
He definitely does.
I love it.
It adds a lot of additional drama to what's going on, and that's kind of the thing that I think really makes this album work, is the drama, almost the melodrama to a certain point. Like there's just so much, like, it's almost like an over performance, but it works. You believe them so well that it works. Like what it kind of makes me think of, and hopefully this doesn't upset you as a massive AFI fan, but I was listening to it and I thought of U2 so much while I was listening to this album. Not necessarily because it sounds particularly like them. There are moments where it does sound like them. And the thing about U2 you've got to remember is that there was a time when they were like the biggest band in the world. And Bono kind of just become like a really unbearable when they force fed their albums to people through their iPhones and all that, and it all kind of like ruined the legacy a bit. But U2 are just one of the most legendary stadium sized bands that have ever existed, and it really feels, listening to this AFI album, like it is a stadium album. Like this is designed for Wembley. This is like enormous, but then also it's got like, because it's so gothic, there's the moment you just feel like you could be in a dingy dark club where everyone's wearing purple. Like I feel like they've transitioned from black into purple. I think that's kind of as you grow as a goth, you go from black into purple as your chosen style. And the amount of goth that is present on this record hits like a whole new level for AFI.
Yeah, it's got its own, it's very much its own sound, this record, and it is brilliant. So like Davey said that they wanted this to be like their like vibe album, like this album that contains, more of a singular mood than they have previously. And while like, a lot of the records will have sort of similar thematics and have like this sort of inherent darkness that they've sort of had, there is, a lot more sort of diversity in the tracks, and, like sort of more collages of the band. And I think this sort of like this leaning more on a focal point, like sort of a sonic landscape in this record, has only made it better. Like I think that this is such a like a wholly executed vision, and it just, it stepped out of their traditional darkness, that's been sort of around since like Sing the Sorrow, and sort of more directly follows the footsteps of some of their like favorite musicians, like old punk stuff, old death rock stuff, things like the Smiths, the Cure, Echo and the Bunnymen. Like
Sisters
it's
of Mercy.
it's still AFI in its DNA. Davey's still delivering macabre beauty, but it's got such a like a purple hue. I think purple is such a great way to describe this record, man. Like from the moment it opens, like Birds of Prey is a really, really great opening track. And, you know, they've got a solid gold pantheon of album openers. And I think that this, you know, we haven't really had a proper true AFI opening track since Burials in 2013, like, you know, and a traditional AFI opening track. I mean, like a Strength Through Wounding, Miseria Conter, like, you know, this grand mood that just it's ceremonial almost. And this really does hit that height, but in, you know, in the context of this new brilliant sound. And yeah, I just love it. It goes in, you know, you come in, you got Behind the Clock, just brilliant. Already said about that, but like I really like about Behind the Clock that it's a big David Lynch nod. So all those names that he's talking about, they're all like Lynchian characters throughout different movies and stuff. And then the bit that's in the chorus, the thriller killer been revealed, I think that's like a direct like reference to Bob, the killer in Twin Peaks, which is so cool. And I wonder when this was written. Was this written in the wake of like David Lynch's death? Because obviously that wasn't too long ago now, but maybe it could have synced up. But yeah, it's great. I love it. I love that David loves David Lynch. It only makes sense. It only makes sense. He's the coolest person. He's the coolest person going. So yeah, it's really, really cool. Like this album's just full of bangers, mate. Just real,
isn't it just
dancey bangers.
Holy Visions is massive. It's got proper 80s teen movie energy. Like you could see it in the background. You could imagine it in the background of a training montage. Like it's just, it's got that like iconic. Like I think there's a lot of moments in this record, almost like the entire record, where it kind of does feel like it's been unearthed from the past. It's not like a pastiche. It's not like, you know, this is a very tenuous like metaphor, but I love to watch like Discovery Turbo, the programs where they make hot rods, and there's this thing that they do sometimes where they paint a car to look rusty because it's cool, like the patina, but it never looks as good as when you actually find a rusty car. And I feel like that's what this album is. It's not a pastiche. It's not, you know, they're not putting on a character. They're not. It just feels like it's genuinely come from the time that they're influenced by, and that era. It's got so much like realism to it. And Holy Visions, honestly, like I could just imagine the like a boxing montage, like, you know, Rocky running up and down the stairs and stuff. Like it's got so much of that. Blasphemy in Excess is funky as hell. I absolutely love that tune, man.
Mate, so I think this step towards, you know, more traditional sort of older punk, you know, it is funny, isn't it? Like time is a flat circle, Gary, and you know, the band that, you know, started as a punk band, went into a hardcore band, evolved into what they are now. They, you know, it is so brilliant to see them, you know, sort of returning realistically to like really the sort of the earliest stages of the band with this massive, this step up in punk. And I really think that moving into that has allowed Hunter, the bassist, to really, I think, carry the hell out this album, dude.
Yeah,
like how many sort of just
absolutely
brilliant, really cool bass lines are there? Or like half the time, like the thing that you've realized you're dancing to is the bass, like through on this record. And, you know, and he hasn't necessarily been able to shine as hard, like since the older punk days, since you know, like Art of Drowning would probably like the last album where he's really going hard, and then you know,
because
they
they've
get
been so
into their
focused
more
on synth
softer,
and that
miserable,
kind of thing, isn't it? Where they've been so focused on the electronic pulse of stuff, like maybe like the actual like live playing of a bass guitar might have fallen by the wayside a bit because it's just not kind of the way that sound really works. but it's really nice to hear it because there's moments in this record where they get almost a bit cowboy. Like there's almost a bit like, I guess you could kind of look at it as like a Bruce Springsteen kind of Heartland kind of thing. They sort of sprinkle into a couple of tracks, especially like it is Blasphemy in Excess where there's the bell. Oh no, it's not. It's Spear of Truth. Sorry, it's Spear of Truth where there's like the dong, like the sort of gong or the bell sound that kind of is echoing in the background that really gives it that skiffily kind of Wild West vibe that is going on throughout that song. It works really, really well, and it's a really interesting sprinkle. And it's exactly like you said. It's like it's kind of the element of punk that appeals more to the 40-somethings at the moment. You kind of your Gaslight anthems and those kind of bands that are out there. There's that little kind of element of it in there, but they're just doing it like it was done originally, and I love that. This, like, you know, I've never really been a huge AFI fan. I definitely have tried my best, and there was that moment during COVID. I remember you were like, check out Burials, and I was out walking the dog, and I Hope You Suffer came on, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually incredible, isn't it? Right, I'm a knobhead. I've been so hung up on the fact that I don't like punk music that I've denied myself like at least 6 incredible albums from AFI. I'm stupid, but I really think this is probably the best AFI album I've personally ever listened to or ever like really dedicated any time to. I think this album is absolutely fantastic.
Amazing.
And I'll tell you what my favourite song is. It's Marguerite.
Yeah.
It's my favourite song on the record. That chorus, Marguerite. Like
Marguerite.
The like, it's so sassy. It's so like dramatic. It's so dark, but also really poppy and really fun. I think that song's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I totally agree, mate. It's a banger. Like there's just so many brilliant bangers on this. Like Ashbeck in the Green Eye, that Margine Duval. I love that. I had to look up like who Jean Duval was, and that was great. Like, she was like a lover of there's a French poet guy called Charles Baudelaire, and it was like his like lover, and they had like a classically like tumultuous relationship over time, and you know it was one of these sort of like just. Like a tragic sort of relationship, and so like, and when he's calling each one of them is Jean Duval, it's like, you know, it's all his burdens and like all his loves. I love it. I don't know who Marguerite is though. I was looking up Marguerite. I was looking into the meaning of Marguerite. Marguerite means pearl, so like. But I didn't spend enough time. But maybe I'll find out. If anyone knows what the Marguerite reference, definitely let us know in the comments, because I'm keen, mate.
Any AFI lore around this album that you can supply, Sonny will absolutely lap up. So please do it. We want to know everything, all the tiny, the most insignificant little details that you pick up from this record. We want to hear. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, talking about Hunter on the bass. Equally, I think like Jade on guitar does so well at just supporting and perfectly allowing like the sort of like a dancing heart bass lines to really shine. But then, you know, he will take the stage and like have this like heady lead that swoops in and just sort of takes over your whole body. Like it's really, really, really brilliantly balanced. Something that I learned that was really interesting, you know, and this is their 12th album. This is the first time that Davey's gone in with like full songs written as lyrics, which is really interesting and really like an unorthodox thing for any vocalist to do. So that's really cool. Like I love that he's obviously written these like hooks and stuff. And he's just so confident in it. Like they're gonna rule. Like, that's so good.
That's amazing. I don't even know what the song sounds like that they're going with, but I've got them and they're ready to go, and I will make them work. But I guess they've been together. They've been making music, not just like this, but they also do like, was it Black Audio, which is still basically most of them together, and they make so much music together that it's like second nature. It's almost like he knows what their songs are going to sound like before they've written them, so he can supply the lyrics and the vocals in advance. That's crazy, isn't it, to think about?
Yeah,
man. I think what you said about Jade, like, there's a couple of moments where he does something that's really interesting. Like it's a riff that you would, if you took it from where it is and put it onto like a distorted guitar, it would be a fat riff, like especially like the acoustic part of Blasphemy in Excess is a fat riff just played on an acoustic guitar. But then you get to like No One Underground, and he actually gets a distortion pedal out, and they actually give you a bit of that old school like punky bite that I think there's like a faction of AFI fans. The wrong word there, because the despair faction is a thing, but there's like a group of AFI fans who probably hark back to the olden days and think that what they do now is no good, and it's almost like a little sort of a little sprinkling, a little like crumbs off the table for them. And the fact that it's called No One Underground and it's stylized in such the way as December Underground was as well, I think that they're just little Easter eggs that they're just kind of dabbling in there for the fans. Very cool.
Brilliant. And it's really cool because obviously, like I said, they set out and they wanted to have like this one mood, and then obviously like this is a bit of a diversion from that, but this still works so brilliantly in the sort of the canon of AFI and the way that they structure albums with, you know, big intros, and then there's usually like a really epic big final song and secret tracks and things like that. So they're very much used to ending the album on a bang, and what's more of a bang than just like playing a really cool hardcore punky song at the end. Like just a great way to finish the album, man.
And screaming like, fuck the track over and over again.
The record's 34 minutes and it's got a brilliant opener, and then it's chock full of absolute bangers, and then it finishes on this really energetic punky song, and it like that whole experience just constantly just makes me want to spin it over and over again because it's really cool. I think this is their best album in a long while, and I really think it's down to a big part them sort of stepping out of themselves and making music for themselves. So like I said at the beginning, I've been a Despair Faction member since Sing the Sorrow. In my teens, I was obsessed with this band. Like I would look at, like I said, download every image, look over everything. I would look at every T-shirt Davey was wearing, and then I would look up that band. And then because of that got me into. I bought like the Cure CDs, I bought Joy Division CDs, I bought the Smith CDs, like because I saw him adoring those bands, and I would hear him talking about those bands. And you know, listening to this, it's like this makes just so much sense. Like this is them sort of making the music that they want to hear for themselves, like giving it a proper go. And I think it's just worked absolute wonders. Like it's, you know, their like passion and reverence for like the inspiration is just like sort of skyrocketed the authenticity of the whole thing. And it's just the logical next step of like a constantly evolving band. I can't praise it enough. I think it's fantastic.
Are you tempted to grow the handlebar moustache?
That would have been so sick.
Oh, you say you emulated his fashion and you looked at what he was wearing. And you should grow the tash, man. Grow the tash. Get the big fuzzy hair back, your big frizzy hair back you used to have back in the day. Go for it, mate. Let's see it. I want to see you in your Davey Havoc in his 40s era. I can't wait for it, mate. I think you'd rock that look.
Oh, mate, it's such a solid look. He looks fantastic at the moment. Like, and honestly, like generally throughout history, if you want to know what people will be wearing in 10 years, look at Davey Havoc now. Like,
so true.
Pictures of, like, look at Davey like in doing on like the albums like post December Underground. He'd like see his outfits that he's wearing live. It's kind of what like people wear now. It's bananas. Like, he's so brilliantly forward, and he's the man. Like I think we'll all be dressing like cult leaders in 10 years.
Yeah. What's his name? What's the Waco guy? I can't think of his name now. Jim something, isn't it? Jim Jones?
Jim Jones, was he Waco?
I don't know. I'm getting
it's
my
Kool-Aid
mixed up now. Kool-Aid and the spaceship. Oh, I can't think of it. Damn it! I regret bringing it up. But that's
Jim Jones had the Elvis look, didn't he? Jim Jones was like properly Elvised up.
Oh yeah. Well, he doesn't look like Elvis, does he? That's for sure. No, mate. I know this is probably technically Heavyist adjacent in terms of what it sounds like to what we would normally talk about, but I know how much this band means to you, and I'm really glad that you wanted to cover this, because I've really dedicated a lot of time to listening to it, and I've fallen for it, man. It's a really awesome record, really incredible album.
Fantastic. And if for any reason you've never really listened to AFI before, give them a go, man. Get on this record and then go back, listen through all the stuff, go back to the OG days, get into the punk stuff, get into the gothy stuff. They're just one of the coolest bands ever. And I just really hope, well, I tell you what is really interesting, Gary. I think that their monthly listeners is sitting at the most it's ever sat at, which is really interesting. It's
cool.
like 3.2 million right now, which is big. Obviously the record just come out, but I'm really, really hoping that this record gets them the recognition that they really do deserve. Like they obviously had commercial success with Sing the Sorrow and then December Underground. Miss Murder's like their biggest track by far. It did
Just
bits.
Guitar Hero. That's the reason for that one.
And then Crash Love kind of did crash, right? It just flew off, and they've been building back since then. And I really do hope that this album just gives them confidence that people enjoy them. Like on the Hard Law thing, he said that like he doesn't think that there's they wouldn't bother doing a London show anymore. Like he's saying like people don't care anymore. So it's not, they haven't really played the UK very much since.
No, this is the cruel irony, is that I've seen AFI live and you haven't, isn't it?
No, I've seen them twice. I saw them back in the day, in the last
10 years.
Yeah, because they were supporting Deftones that you went to, weren't they? So I really, really hope that this gives them a bit of a boost of numbers, gives them a bit more confidence that people do want to see them overseas, because absolutely there's definitely a hunger for them, like especially I know for sure in the UK, and it'd be so good that if this album could just sort of, give them that confidence.
Was it 2020 or was it COVID when they were announced to headline the 2000 Trees and then it ended up getting cancelled?
Something like that, yeah.
I think it was the COVID year when obviously it had to be cancelled because everything got cancelled. And AFI were meant to be headlining 2000 Trees. Imagine that. You would absolutely lose your shit if you went to like a festival and AFI were the headline at the end of the day. God, I'd have to clean you up off the floor with a mop. You'd be such a mess.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous. It would be completely ridiculous.
Amazing. Yeah, new AFI album. If you haven't listened to it, which I feel like is unlikely, but if you haven't, you really need to. It's incredible. We'll be back to the regularly scheduled riffs very soon. It's been a pleasure. Leave a little like, give us a subscribe if you haven't yet. We're pushing to hit that 1,000, and that'd be really exciting for us. So
I'll be so sick.
Yeah, man.
Come on,
love you all.
Despair Faction homies. Come on, remember, I've got the card. Give me the sub.
Come on, that deserves a sub if nothing else.
I squeezed into my 22-year-old
Look
t-shirt.
at the man in his medium-sized t-shirt. We love you all. Take care. See you soon. Bye.
Peace.